Xin chào các cô chú anh chị em. Welcome back to Học Tiếng Anh OK.
Hôm nay chúng ta sẽ có một cuộc trò chuyện cùng nhau để các bạn có thể tập nghe tiếng Anh rồi thì tiếng Anh thôi nhé.
Exactly. We want this to sound like we're just having a conversation so you can practice and try to follow along. Today we're gonna discuss one question, and we're gonna discuss what our first night was like when we lived in Vietnam. And as we're talking, we're gonna ask you to listen for a few things and try to write these things down, and then maybe comment what your answers are to them in the comment section below. For me, for my part, for what I want you to listen to for me is what did I eat my first night and where I lived.
Okay. So tell me about your first night in Vietnam.
Yeah, I still remember it super clearly. It was about a year ago, almost exactly a year ago today. And I flew from California. I used to live in San Jose, and met a lot of really amazing people there, and it was really sad to leave them. I was on a super long flight. I had to fly from San Jose to Seattle, Washington, which is a state in the United States, and then I flew from Seattle to Korea, and Korea to Hanoi, and then from there I flew from Hanoi to Ho Chi Minh City. And so it was a long way. It took a long time. It took like almost 2 days to get there, and so I was super tired when we landed, and I got in the car. We got in this big car. We met up with all these other guys we were working with, and had all of our suitcases, got in this big van and drove there. And I was surprised at first because the roads are so different in Vietnam. They do not look anything like they do here in the United States. People are going all sorts of different directions, and usually when you have like this big circle road, we call it a roundabout, and you just slowly merge in. But in Vietnam, you just go whenever you want to go, and that was something that really surprised me when I first got there. I was also surprised by all the signs. They were super bright everywhere. I couldn't really see the place because it was dark outside when I got there, but I could see all these signs. I thought that was really cool. The people seemed really nice, but I was a little bit overwhelmed because I just didn't really know. It was super new to me. And so then we drove there. I got picked up at Ho Chi Minh City, and then I drove to Bình Dương, and I lived in Bình Dương. I was in Quy Nhơn Cũ Bịch Sinh. It was super cool, and I loved it there, and moved into my apartment. I was living with 3 other guys. They're some of my best friends, and we had a blast. We got all unpacked. I found out that we had air conditioning. I didn't think we were gonna have air conditioning and a hot shower. These are all things I wasn't sure if we had it because I'd heard about other guys that didn't have it. And then as I was getting unpacked, my friends went and got some food for me, and they went to Family Mart and bought me some pho, and it was okay. It was Family Mart pho. It wasn't the best pho, but it was fun. It was better than pho that I had in the States. And yeah, and so then I went to bed, and it was just amazing. I couldn't believe that I was actually there because I wanted to come for so long, and I finally made it. I was just so excited to be there. But yeah, that's a little bit about my first night in Vietnam. All right, sweet. That's a little bit about my first night in Vietnam. Let me hear your story.
Well, let me tell you. So my experience of getting to Vietnam was kind of whack. It was
Really?
kind of weird because I flew all the way from the United States to Vietnam by myself, and I had never flown international before.
Wow.
So it was like I got on a plane by myself, ended up in Korea at some point. It was like, I don't know the language here, and I don't know anyone here. It was wild. I was scared out of my mind. I was just wandering around the airport because I had a layover. It was weird. I found a piano, which was nice. Played the keys a little bit.
You know, now this guy's a really good piano player.
It's what we do. But anyways, after I made it to Hanoi, I got picked up by some friends. They drove me to their house. I spent the night there. That night wasn't super wild, but the next night after that, I ended up in Ho Chi Minh City. I went to Thao Dien in, I believe it's District 1, I know, somewhere around there. But District 2. I was only there for 3 weeks, so I don't remember too much. But I remember landing in the airport in Ho Chi Minh, and I was told that I needed to get a taxi to my apartment. But I didn't speak Vietnamese very well, and I didn't have anyone with me that could speak Vietnamese very well, so I just like walk out and I walk past this row of people that are like waving signs. They're like, "Hey, taxi, taxi." I'm like, "I need one, yeah." Somehow I start talking to one of those people. Their English is okay. It's not super great, and my Vietnamese isn't quite good enough to say what I need to. Eventually we get across that I need Wi-Fi so I can figure out what address I need to go to, because I didn't know. And so I get her hotspot, figure out that, and then I get in a cab and we start driving. And the streets in Vietnam, like you said, were whack. They were so scary.
So different.
It's just cars and mopeds moving everywhere. And it doesn't seem like there's any sort of order or structure to it.
It's just everyone going on their own.
I was totally in shock. I'm just sitting there like, whoa, culture shock, because it's totally different. And eventually we get to where I think my apartment is, and I don't have a SIM card, so I can't call the person that I live with that was going to be picking me up. So I was like, well, I don't know where I'm at. So I asked the driver for his hotspot as well, get Wi-Fi from him, and then I call Michael, my buddy. He's the man. Call him, he comes down, picks me up, and then within 5 minutes of getting my stuff upstairs into our apartment, we're out on the street on bikes, pedaling through the traffic.
I can't even imagine.
I was terrified. And Michael was hauling down the street. He was going really fast. And I felt like I was going to get lost, but somehow I didn't.
Wow. Did your parents know you were in Vietnam?
I called them the first night I got there, but they didn't know I was going.
Wow. So you flew that whole time and your parents had no clue.
They had no idea. And then I call them like, "Hey, I'm in Vietnam."
What?
That's quick.
Yeah.
But
holy buckets.
Yeah, it was awesome. So yeah, that's my story of my first couple nights in Vietnam. If you want to go back and re-listen to my story, then you can answer the questions of how did I get to my apartment and how did I feel about the traffic. Ok, cảm ơn mọi người rất nhiều. Chúc ngủ ngon nha.
Chúc sức khỏe nhé.
Bye bye.